Hello and welcome back everyone to another Hold for Hold Pro Wrestling channel video podcast. It just depends on where you're seeing this. As I announced on the Friday show, I got the channel onto Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and now I've officially gotten us on every platform I can find that would allow a podcast. So if you are listening this in the audio realm, please make sure to leave a like, follow the channel, subscribe, and if you can leave a review, that would really help. If you leave a review, I will read every review on the show here today. And yeah, just please support the channel anywhere you are. It would really help to grow this channel. But enough of the plugs, guys. That's not what I'm here to do. I am here today to talk about Monday Night Raw. I know that I haven't been the most consistent with my Raw reviews. It's just the hardest show for me to get into my schedule. But this week, I was fortunate enough. I had enough time, and I really wanted to talk about Raw because it's actually a pretty good one, guys. I know, shocking, right? 3 hours of wrestling could be pretty decent, and it was. Um, I think the biggest difference with this Raw compared to like lately is the focus on matches and storytelling inside the wrestling ring. So foreign of a concept sometimes, but yes, telling your stories in match form is more entertaining. Who would have guessed it? But I don't want to crap on Raw because, or just in general on the Raw style, but because let's just celebrate what we have today. Let's celebrate that. How about that? This Monday Night Raw kicked off with Becky Lynch defending her Raw Women's Championship against Bianca Belair. And I mean, it really started it off. We had small promos from each woman before the match. Bianca talked about how she carried the company while Becky was gone. And Becky says that she will always be the smartest, essentially, boiled down. We get a lot of disrespect to start off this match. Becky keeps shoving Bianca into the corner and even slaps Bianca, which really sets her off. Bianca gets control on the outside after Becky was pulling her hair through the post, and Bianca just pulls her hair back and it sends Becky into the post. It was a cool little spot, to be honest. It was inventive for sure. Also, these women have been working a lot on the house show circuits with each other, and it really shows. Like everything was crisp. It felt like they had done this match a bunch, and not to say that was predictable, but it just felt like, I don't know, safe isn't really the best word, but you know what I mean. Like these women trust each other in that ring, and it really showed through, and they performed to a just a fantastic effort here. But like I was saying, Bianca gets in control after she pulls Becky into the post and then delivers a stalling suplex on the floor. We go to a break, we come back. Both women trade control with Becky locking in a Fujiwara armbar and then transitioning that into a roll up for two. Bianca looks for another suplex but gets rolled up again, and it's kind of like through the suplex. It was a really cool little spot there. Bianca is able to come back with some drop kicks and hits a suplex, rolls through that suplex and hits another stalling suplex. Just a great show of strength right there. We get a couple more like roll through spots in this match and then in the Chad Gable match, and I'll always pop for it. It's such a cool spot for me. Um, so from there, later on, Becky looks to come back with she looks to come back from the middle rope, I think, or she's running off the ropes, gets caught for like a tilt-a-whirl gut buster, and it looked rough. So Bianca hit that gut buster on her. Bianca then goes to whip Becky, but Becky avoids it, looks for a glam slam, but it is again countered into a roll up. Becky looks to lock in the disarmer and gets lifted up by Bianca. So she has her like with one arm and just lifts her all the way from the ground. It's just amazing. It's a great show of strength, which I've seen that spot before on the house show circuit, and I think they might have done it at Crown Jewel. I forget. But yeah, just still cool to see. But she gets too close to the ropes. Becky, while she's up there, grabs onto the ropes and kind of like Ranas them to the outside. And for a second, I thought it was gonna be like when Rey Mysterio, I think it was with Andrade. Andrade has him in like a Frankensteiner or like an electric chair position, and Rey Mysterio like sends them to the outside, and they both land on the outside with them still in the same position, which is just freakish. I don't even know how they do it, but no, both women just get like knocked down to the outside. Um, Becky looks to get a cross armbar after a suplex attempt from Bianca. Bianca is able to deadlift Becky from that cross armbar all the way up for a stiff looking power bomb, and then gets a nice Walter-esque cover for this. If you know what I mean, you know what I mean. Just putting all her weight on this cover. It gets two. We get a great escape from Bianca as she like walks into a turnbuckle and to avoid a reverse DDT. So she's kind of caught in that reverse DDT position, and she just walks up the turnbuckle post, kind of like Bret Hart does. But yeah, it was a great spot there. Bianca is able to hit a manhandle slam, or sorry, Becky's able to hit the manhandle slam, but Bianca gets her foot on the bottom rope. Bianca is scrambling at this point. She's trying to hit anything she can because she knows, like, okay, I'm in trouble. I barely got out of that manhandle slam. So she connects with the glam slam for two. She looks for the KOD, but Becky is able to hold on to the turnbuckle, and her holding on to the turnbuckle kind of rips it off. And so when Becky gets put down, she shoves Bianca into it. Bianca's face hits the turnbuckle. Becky rolls her up for three. She also gets a handful of tights on that roll up. So yeah, it's a great match, you guys. Definitely go check it out. It's definitely worth the time. And the finish was rewarding. It wasn't a DQ, and it wasn't like an intentional dirty, you know what I mean? Like it was more a luck and opportunity, which I like. It's the heel capitalizing on the moment, and you can't necessarily blame them. So it's a good win for Becky, and it keeps Bianca looking strong because it technically is cheating for Bianca. So yeah, really enjoyed it. I was really thinking about halfway through, I'm like, man, this is a great match, but this is going to end in a DQ. It has to. But no, they actually gave us a new and not new in the grand sense of things, but, new for Raw, inventive finish there. From there, we have Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio in Gorilla. They're getting ready for their match against Austin. They get interviewed. Rey says that Austin's a great competitor, but he's too arrogant. This brings out Austin Theory. He interrupts them. As he's walking out to interrupt, he's like, Mysterio! It's really good. I enjoy Austin Theory's little character work throughout his whole time on TV today. He says that he's honored to wrestle Rey Mysterio and that they'll be able to take a selfie after the match. Rey says that Austin's not the first person trying to use the Mysterio name to make theirs, but after this match, the Mysterio name will stay strong while Austin Theories will fade away. And this goes right into a match. Really happy about this. It's like minimal talking, right to action as Mysterio makes his entrance. Dom and Austin kind of get in each other's face. So yeah, Austin Theory versus Rey Mysterio. That was next. We had a lockup to start things off. Austin's like constantly overpowering Rey, which is, sensible. When Austin backs like Rey into the corner and he has to break it because of the ref, he like just tugs Rey's chin strap, or maybe like the straps right here of his mask, and just subtle character work is like that sets off Rey. Rey gets really mad about that. This fires him up. He goes in with a perfect Hurricane Rana. Theory comes back with a pretty fisherman suplex, catches Rey into like a torch rack modified. So instead of Rey's back being aligned with the shoulders of Theory, his back is aligned with Theory's head and neck. And so it just looks even worse because it looks like he's literally about to split Rey in half. And the whole time Theory has Rey like this, he's looking straight at Dominic. Again, just emphasizing character work here. I love it. Sorry, guys, lost my place a little bit. Theory stares down Dom on the apron. He actually gets on the apron, and then he rolls through in the ring and hits his pretty drop kick that he always does. Sorry, lost my place in my notes again. Theory sends Rey into the barricade, and he shoves Dom. Dom's trying to help Rey, and he shoves him away, which I love. I love that. He picks up Rey onto his shoulders, and Dom like pushes Rey's legs. And that little momentum swings Rey into a DDT, and he spikes Austin Theory on the outside with it. A lot of people on Twitter, especially once we get to the finish of this, a lot of people on Twitter was like, "That should have caused a DQ." Why? Just let it be. Some referees, they'll let stuff happen, and I'm fine with that. I think it's like just minor enough that I didn't really even care. And the spot was cool, so it doesn't matter. He spikes Austin Theory for a tornado DDT. We go to break, we come back. Austin has somehow regained control, and he looks to do something to Rey off the top rope, but Rey's able to shimmy his way down and plants Austin Theory. He nails another Rana that sends Austin into the post. Rey comes back with a he goes up top, hits a seated senton, then gets on the ropes, hits a flush crossbody for 2. Theory is able to come back with that drop kick again, uh, but this rebounds Rey. Like Rey gets hit with the drop kick, rebounds off the ropes, hits his own drop kick. Both men are down. This is as we enter into the finish here, as Austin drop kicks Dominic for no reason other than why not. And Rey sets up for the 619. And while Theory's in that, in those ropes, Dom slaps Theory, and Theory gets hit with the 619. Rey's going for the pin, but while Rey's going for the pin, the ref is like, all right, that's it. We're throwing this match out because Dom slapped Austin Theory, which, I know we kind of hate the Q finishes, but this was good. This was a good part of his story. I think I made everyone look good, to be honest. I don't mind it. And as I've mentioned before, I enjoy the story between Mysterio and Dominic. I like the slow burn. I don't necessarily think that Dominic needs to turn heel. I just think that, he needs to wisen up and Rey needs to not be so controlling. And yeah, this continues that story. It's good because Rey trusted Dominic to be out there in the first place, which is kind of a change. So, I don't know. I liked it. I thought Austin looked great in this match. He's really just like on a different level in terms of, especially when he first debuted on Raw to now, it's just completely different. He's learned so much from NXT, and he's just, it's great to watch. So yeah, 1 hour, and we've had 2 really good matches so far. Like this Theory Mysterio match was really good, even though it had a DQ finish, and I'm always fine with that. Seth Rollins promo. Next up, he says that the contract he's holding guarantees he's going to be the next WWE champion. Um, and then he's like, let's go over the fine print, shall we? Which I would love to have heard what's in the tiny writing of a WWE contract. Like, what evil things are they allowing themselves to be subjected to in those tiny, tiny prints? But before he can read any of that, he's interrupted by Big E. Seth says that he's actually lost respect for Big E. Says that Big E has been a fine champion. Oh, sorry about that. Rollins says that he's been a fine champion, but let's be honest, you don't want the responsibilities of this, and you can just go back to being a joke like the rest of your friends. King Woods, that's a joke. Kofi Mania, that was a joke. This fires up Big E, who obviously does not take kindly to this disrespect of the New Day. He challenges Seth Rollins for a match tonight, and the crowd is hot for this, by the way. Crowd absolutely behind him. They want this match. Rollins is like, whoa, let's slow down here. He's not 100% after that ladder match, and there's no chance that they're going to have a match tonight. This brings out Kevin Owens. He starts saying, like, everyone wants to be the face of Raw, from Becky Lynch to Seth Rollins to Bianca to Big E, and everyone has a pretty good case, but he should be the face of Monday Night Raw. And why? Because of effort. He always puts in the most effort. I don't really think that's how that works, KO. That's a participation award. So, yeah, Kevin Owens making that argument. He says that he acknowledges he's had a rough patch lately, and that even throughout that, he's kept fighting. And whether it's 3 more months, acknowledging his contract situation, or 3 more years, he will continue to keep fighting. And he tells Rollins to get out of the ring so he can face Big E for the first time ever. So he challenges Big E officially. Big E accepts the challenge and says, "It's on, sucker," which I love. And yeah, we're going to get that match later on, which I was already excited for because a Big E Kevin Owens match is so much fun. And honestly, Kevin Owens hasn't been treated like a main event player since his feud with Roman Reigns at the beginning of this year. Can you believe that was at the beginning of the year? So this honestly put him back on my sphere of like, oh yeah, he is a main event player. And then later on, he will really solidify his case for like, man, this guy is world champion material in my book. So, but we'll get to that when we get to that. I just really enjoyed this story bit here. Seth Rollins doing fantastic character work, and Kevin Owens, like, he's playing that perfect like baby face who still has an edge to him. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a tweener. He's not going to do anything heelish. I guess maybe he does at the end of that match, but at least for this promo, it didn't feel heelish or tweenerish. It felt babyface, but it felt genuine, and that's so hard to do. And so I gotta give props for that. And Big E's always great as always. I mean, just one of the most authentic people in that ring, and you get him talking. He uses his words very carefully, and he also, I would say, he uses the mic very carefully. You don't need to always hear every word he says because it feels more conversational when you can't. When he's just saying things to Seth or to Kevin Owens without the mic, it feels more real. And I really love that he does that a lot. But anyways, guys, a little tangent there. Following that, we had Zelina Vega and Carmella taking on Nikki, A.S.H, and Rhea Ripley in a, you guessed it, championship contenders match. They have no other teams to feud with, so why not throw these two together? It would have made more sense if they wouldn't have faced each other in the Queen's Crown tournament, but it's fine. The finish of this match, I'm not really going to go over this one. It's not that important, unfortunately. I want them to elevate it, and maybe this is the start of like elevating those titles, or I don't know, getting Nikki, A.S.H, and Rhea Ripley out of this division so they can actually be major players. But anyways, the finish sees Zelina Vega roll up Nikki after Carmella was distracting her and pulling her hair. Following that, we have Big E in the back, and he's approached by the Alpha Academy, Chad Gable, and Otis. We get some great offhanded comments to Otis from Big E, and they were just rude. Big E calls Otis a thumb. He says, "Stop looking at me like that." But anyways, Gable carried this segment. They gave him a large promo bit here, and boy did he deliver. Chad Gable, you guys, fantastic. He says that with his help, Big E can become the solidified face of Monday Night Raw. And Big E wants nothing to do with this. He's like, "What, you gonna turn me into a thumb like you did that guy?" He says, "Fine, don't come crying to me when this place turns into Monday Night Rollins again." And like I said, just good little back and forth. Big E's really good at being conversational, and if they would have took this too seriously, it would have sucked. And I think having Big E kind of with those offhanded jokes really helped. And Chad Gable's fantastic, you guys. I don't know if I've ever said this, but Chad Gable, as part of American Alpha, they're like half of the reason, if not, yeah, like at least half of the reason that I came back to wrestling was their match against DIY at TakeOver Toronto, I believe. It was like one of the first matches I've watched after my like hiatus, like my 5-year hiatus from wrestling, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is just amazing." So I'm big Chad Gable mark. I want to see him in everything, and I actually genuinely like Otis. Otis had a match a long time ago against Tommaso Ciampa in NXT, which sounds really weird, but he really performed well there, and he won me over in that match. So yeah, love to see it. Following this though, we had Finn Balor taking on Chad Gable. Oh, and Chad Gable had like a good one-liner about Finn. He was like, "I'm gonna turn a prince to a peasant," which, you know, whatever, but it's a good one-liner at least. So we get a really fun technical match from these two, as you should expect. I've been waiting for this match for a minute. I really love both of these competitors, and to see them go head to head was really fun for me. Chad Gable locks in an ankle lock at some point, and he's really cranking on it. Finn Balor's selling. He's like, "Man, I'm gonna have to tap." Finn rolls through into a cross arm bar, but Gable rolls out of that into another ankle lock. And so you're like, "Man, he could do it." But no, Finn like kicks him off, rolls through that kickoff, and hits the double stomp on him, which was great. Gable cuts off Finn's comeback though, and hits a Northern Line suplex, rolls through, turns him around, hits a German suplex with a bridge for 2. He looks for a moonsault, but eats Finn's knees. And Finn, from there, he hits a shotgun drop kick into the corner, which Gable kind of missed. No, he completely missed the turnbuckles, so he landed kind of flush on his head. I was a little worried there. The finish sees Finn go up top, but he's too slow. His ankle's too messed up. He's clearly looking for the coup de grace, but you just can't make it up there in time. Gable runs up the ropes, catches him for a superplex, but as he like hits down, the impact kicks his legs up. Finn's able to cradle him for 3. Great classic wrestling finish. Good wrestling match. Keeps Gable looking super strong against a guy like Finn. And yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing Finn feud with the Alpha Academy, to be honest. I know it seems beneath him, but it could elevate the Alpha Academy to at least Chad Gable to a spot where they're taken seriously, you know? Following that, we have Matt Riddle backstage. He's riding a scooter. Dirty Dogs come up and approach him. Matt thought they were having a moment, but Dolph's like, man, listen, I just want you to pay attention as we face the Street Profits and we whoop them, and then we become the next Raw Tag Team Championships champions. I love the Dirty Dogs. I've said it before. Unpopular opinion. I like the Dirty Dogs. Just this tag division is just a little bit. I don't know. I mean, by the end of this match, I was kind of buying it. It's just still too centered around AJ and Amos for my liking. And I kind of want to see that be done with, because right now they have a pretty strong tag division with Randy and Matt and the Street Profits and the Dirty Dogs and Alpha Academy. That's a really strong division. You got a lot of veteran talent in there. You got a lot of explosive talent in there. So following that, we have the Street Profits versus the Dirty Dogs. Really fun match. Lots of back and forth here, trading control. And Riddle and Randy are just fantastic on commentary. With Riddle just talking too much, and Randy's like, okay, we get it. But the finish sees Montez nail a plancha over the post, and he barely got all of it. Because I think the Dirty Dogs were being down on Dawkins, so he hits that plancha to the outside. This brings out Amos. Montez rolls in Dolph and gets distracted by Amos coming down the ramp. Dolph hits him with a super kick. Dolph gets the pin for 3. And after the match, Amos destroys the Profits and Matt Riddle. Randy just stays on the other side of the ring and is like, Matt Riddle kind of had that coming to him. Following that, we have a Damien Priest promo. He says that the dark side has always been within him and says that he doesn't stand for disrespect. T-Bar is going to get very acquainted with the Damien in him. Get it? Damien? Demon? Damon? Matt Damon? Demon? Born Identity? It doesn't matter. I actually don't mind this new character change. I don't like the pun on his name. It's just a little bit corny. But this like darker Damien Priest is kind of cool to see. I think he didn't necessarily need a character revamp, but I don't think it's going to hurt him. It might make him more versatile because now he's like a tweener, like a solidified tweener. We get a hot start to this match. This match is really good too. This is probably one of my favorite Raw matches this year for sure. We get a really hot start. Priest control early on. Table gets set up, but no one's able to follow through on pulling each other through it, like a chokeslam attempt and a powerbomb attempt, but no one gets it. Later on, Dominic Dijakovic, it's hard to call him T.U.R., guys. Dominic cuts off Priest on the top rope and nails an avalanche Samoan drop. We go to commercial, we come back. Priest is making a comeback with a flurry of strikes. Goes up top again, but gets caught again for a nasty chokeslam backbreaker. This match has a lot of highlights on Twitter, and I would suggest you guys just search for them because they're fantastic. Dominic traps Priest in the ropes, and he goes chair shopping under the ring. T-Bar eventually does surface with lots of chairs inside the ring and a candlestick in hand. He starts whacking at a prone Priest in the ropes. Right to the six-pack, and he has some nasty lashes after this. Priest is able to make a comeback with a nice lariat that turns Dominic inside out. The finish sees Priest suplex chokeslam T-Bar through a table on the outside. And shout out to that table. That table broke perfectly, just completely, boom, popped. It was great. He gets him in the ring, hits a reckoning, 4-3. This brings out Apollo Crews. And like I said, I didn't want to talk about the match too much because I do encourage you guys to watch it. It's a really good match. But Apollo Crews comes out. Really wish he would drop the accent by now, but okay. He introduces himself and Aziz to Damien and essentially challenges him for the U.S. title at some point. Following that, we have the 24/7 division stuff. Reggie comes up to John Morrison, asks him how he's doing. R-Truth attacks from behind, but Reggie's able to make a escape. Following that, Becky Lynch interview. She's asked about her nefarious tactics, said that she did what was available to her, and calls the fans fickle. Where have you heard of that before? Calls the fans fickle because they can't relate to her success. I might have missed her and Liv Morgan I saw on Twitter, but I had to watch this last hour on my own, so I might have missed it somehow. But I saw that Liv Morgan and Becky Lynch kind of had a face off, which good for Liv Morgan fans, but not really something I'm that interested in. No offense, I just don't think Liv Morgan's been built that great. But who knows? Maybe this feud could elevate her. And yeah, I'm always game for another matchup between the man and whoever. Following that, though, Seth Rollins looks to coerce Kevin Owens. He says that when he wins the title, KO will, of course, get the first title shot. Owens is great here, just kind of like pandering to Rollins. He says he doesn't want Rollins to interfere in his match, though, and Seth Rollins says, KO, you can keep fighting while I'll keep winning. Great exchange. And this is the point where I was like, man, Kevin Owens is one of my guys. I totally just like he hadn't been booked well on Raw or on SmackDown, and I didn't realize how much it hurt him until I started seeing him being booked well tonight, and I was like, man, this is just he's one of my favorites. So following that, we have Big E taking on Kevin Owens in a one-on-one contest. Both men look to establish control early on. Sorry if I just yelled right in your ear. Um, well, a little excited. Both men look to establish control early on, a little back and forth, a lot of trash talking, saying, I'm the face of Monday Night Raw. Things pick up when Owens reverses the big ending into a reverse DDT. Big E's able to come back with a few bellies. Kevin Owens looks for the stunner but can't get it. He sends Big E to the outside. E trips up Kevin Owens, looks for his apron splash, but no one's home. And Kevin Owens hits like a front flip senton around the apron to Big E, to a standing Big E. And then when Big E's down, KO hits another senton onto him, and it looked rough. This brings out Seth Rollins. We go to break, we come back. Kevin Owens hits a superplex on Big E. Big E then absorbs a lariat, and these two just start slapping each other, just punch after punch. Yeah, really good match, by the way. If I'm going through this kind of fast, it's because it's a really fast paced and really good match. So they're slapping the piss out of each other. Big E misses another splash. Owens catches him with a super kick, a cannonball, and then a rough looking swanton bomb for two. And boy, I mean, it was a rough one. Owens looks for another swanton, but the knees were up this time. This brings us to the finish as Big E fires himself up, hits a middle rope spear. He gets Kevin Owens back in the ring, but can't hit the big ending. Kevin Owens kind of like pushes E towards the turnbuckles, and both of their heads collide. And this sends Owens back, but Big E's still in the corner trying to recover. Seth Rollins blindsides Big E, I think with the little contract he's holding. And this knocks out Big E. KO looks for a pin off of that. He kind of thinks for a second. So this is going to play into the post-match and the eventual like final beat. But so that happens. KO's like trying to figure out, did Rollins do something? Why did Big E fall? And it kind of looked like Kevin Owens is conscious of the fact that Seth Rollins did something there. But he goes for the pin anyway. It backfires. Big E's able to roll that pin into a crucifix, and he gets a 3 count from that. So yeah, a little shady. Post-match, Big E gets in Kevin Owens' face. No microphone in hand, just says, you saw him hit me. I know you did. And KO was like, no, I didn't. I swear. I'm like fuzzy right now. Like I wasn't, you saw we collided heads. Really good logic, which is always lacking in wrestling. Kevin Owens does eventually grab the mic, though. He says he didn't know what happened. He calls out Rollins. He's like, you're probably loving this. Well, you're going to get yours next week. So to kind of set up a match for next week, Rollins and Kevin Owens, which is going to be a banger. If you remember their series from like 2016, they put on good matches. He tries to make it right with Big E, though. He's apologizing. Big E doesn't want to hear none of that. And he hits him with a big ending. Don't trust anybody mentality. I enjoy it. I enjoy just some real, you were wrong. So I'm going to give you a big ending. And I mean, it makes sense to me. It was great booking on everyone. I think everyone looked smart. Everyone looked like they had a legitimate cause, and yeah, this is going to be a fun three like person feud that they're building, and I'm really happy about that. I'm really happy that Kevin Owens gets to be in this feud, and I kind of like, I don't know, kind of could set up Owens to dethrone Big E down the line. Obviously not for a while, but I wouldn't mind that. I definitely would not mind that. Um, yeah, let's that's pretty much it for Raw tonight, you guys. Like I said, it was a really good Raw. I really enjoyed it. Thought we had like four really good matches for once. The pacing felt foreign for a Raw. Like this show went by pretty fast. They kept talking to a minimum, and I kind of wish all Raws were like this. And who knows, maybe all Raws will be like this from now on. Let's just keep an open mind there. But yeah, anyways, you guys, like I said, this show is now available everywhere, pretty much everywhere. I got a website coming up, and hopefully gonna make some merch. So, but you can show support right now just by freely subscribing, following the channel, leaving us a like, and going and checking out our other videos. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.